Hello, everybody. This is Raymond Espanola, and in this lecture video, I will present Chapter 2 of Gender and Society, Gender and Biology. Now, the coverage of this lecture video includes the following topics. We'll have sexuality education, just a brief aspect of that, followed by sex chromosomes, DSD, or differences in sex development, sex hormones, brains of males and females, sex differences in temperament and cognition, and some critiques and thoughts moving forward. Okay. Now, sexuality education. What is sexuality education? The term that we could encounter, the formal terminology is comprehensive sexuality education. But in our everyday language, ang atong masugatan kay sex education, kana gina-shorten siya as sex education. Now, CSE or Sexuality Comprehensive Sexuality Education is a process of teaching and learning about various aspects of our sexuality. Now, ang ato sexuality, daghay aspeto na ay cognitive, how we think about ourselves as gendered beings, emotional aspects of our sexuality, diri mo suyod ang healthy relationships, protecting against, violence or, yeah, gender-based violence, physical and social aspects of sexuality as well. So ang sa physical, that's your body, and ang social aspects, the general relations, no, nato as sexual beings. Now, ang UNESCO gina-promote na dapat kada individual, every children, every young people maka-receive ng comprehensive sexuality education because this type of education will empower them to realize their health, well-being, and dignity. Contrary to the belief of many na kung ang mga bata maka-receive ng sexuality education, mas ma-encourage na hinuon sila na mo-try ng sexual activities, that is not the case. Kay ang goal ng sexuality education is para masabtan ng young people unsay iyang mga responsibilities and unsay iyang kayang buhaton sa iyang body. So therefore, mas gina-promote ang respectful social and sexual relations and mas masabtan niya ang choices na iyang kinahanglan buhaton kay ang every choice na iyang buhaton will affect their own well-being and the well-being of others, and also understand and ensure the protection of their rights throughout their lives. Now, these are some of the topics na makover ng sexuality education. Of course, kaning very usual na topic, sexual and reproductive anatomy and physiology. Mao ni ang differences between male and female bodies. But aside from that, apil pod ang puberty, the normal changes in the body ng boys or girls, and ang menstruation, reproduction, contraception, pregnancy, childbirth, and STIs, or sexually transmitted infections, including HIV transmission and AIDS. Now, aside from these topics, apil pod sa CSE ang human rights, healthy and respectful family life and interpersonal relationships, gender equality, sexual behaviors, gender-based and other violence, consent and bodily integrity, sexual abuse and harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation or cutting. Now, if you notice, I have here asterisks in some topics. Kay, buti pa sabot ani, if you if you took your GEU self sa ako, kanang mga single asterisks na cover na siya. I mean, kanang double, sorry. Kanang topics na ay double asterisks, these are topics sa GEU self nako. Okay? So therefore, naanay aspect of comprehensive sexuality education sa yourself. Pag-teach ng healthy relationship and also consent and bodily integrity. So usually sa ako na case as instructor, I always like to emphasize kaning topic nga consent sa yourself, no? Kay not all not all students will be taking GE Gen Soc. And for me, the most important topics ng comprehensive sexuality education that every student needs to know is naa sila'y consent, naa sila'y power over their own body, and sila'y magbuot, okay, kung unsaon nila ang ilang body. So, they should not kanang dili sila magpaabuso because sila na ay control anak ilang body. And also kaning healthy interpersonal relationships. Kaning mga items na single ang asterisks, mauni ang mga items na i-cover nato sa Genso. So na I hope to be more complete or to come full circle with our comprehensive sexuality education. Kay i-cover man nato ning gender equality, human rights, sexual behavior, and so on. Okay? And yes, karon na ay mga topics na my assumption is na-appeal na ini sa inyong biology lessons. And again, when you discussed about sexual, reproductive, anatomy and physiology, menstruation, STIs, and so on, kana na mga topics, um, still part of the comprehensive sexuality education. But this time, I will start this lecture video with just a brief sexual and reproductive anatomy and physiology, or just differences between male and female reproductive systems. We will do it very fast. Okay, again, these are not new to you. Let's start with reproductive system of females. Now you can see here the major or the main parts of female's vulva or external genitalia. You have the labia majora and labia minora. So you can see there asa na siya dapit. In case you are a woman or you are female and you don't know the terms for this, so now you know. Kung ikaw pod isa ka male, now you know na mauni ang structure ng female um ng female genitalia, but I think sa inyong age karon kabalo na mo sa ani na mga itsura, no, kay nag-search na jud mo ani even before this time na nag-lecture ta, na probably sa high school pa mo na curious na mo unsay itsura ng female genitalia. You have the clitoris, sa Bisaya na siya tinggel, that is the source of pleasure, okay? Kay siya ang pinaka-sensitive na part ng female genitalia. And then you have the vaginal opening or vaginal opening. And then hymen, unsa ng hymen, is a piece of tissue covering or surrounding part of your vaginal opening. And the opening to your urethra. Now, sa case ng females, lahi ang vaginal opening um, sa kaning agihanan ng ihi. So moagi ang ihi sa urethra, and then ang vaginal opening diha moagi ang baby at the time of, childbirth ng isa ka mother. Sa kaso manggod ng male genitalia, you will see later girls na the same ang gawasana ng semen and urine. Okay? The internal parts of the female genitalia, syempre you have the vagina, kanang canal mismo, which is a muscular canal. And then the cervix, which is the top of your kaning vagina or the lowest part of your uterus. So siya ang mag-allow ng sperm na mosulod sa body, no? Or mosulod sa pailayom didto mo swim through the uterus. Ang uterus is a hollow, pear-shaped organ. Also, most of that organ is a muscle. And naay two parts ana, the cervix and the corpus. And then ang corpus, maon ang body mismo um, ng uterus. The ovaries are small oval-shaped glands that are located on either side of the uterus, which are responsible for the production of egg cells or the release or maturation of egg cells and the release of hormones. And of course, the fallopian tubes. Now, pag-abot sa males, of course, you have the penis. So, ang penis na ay daw tulo ka parts, the root, the body or the shaft, the penis shaft, and the glans penis. Mo na ang head of the penis. So kung sa woman, the most sensitive part is the clitoris. Sa male genitalia, ang kaning glans penis pod na daghay kuan diha, mga nerve endings. Therefore, can be a source of pleasure. Na ako'y gi-add diha what is a normal size of the penis. Accordingly, 3.5 is the average, 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches when flaccid, kung humok pa, kung gahi, 5 inches. Okay. And then you have the scrotum, that is the skin, the sac of skin that covers your testicles, that holds your testicles or testis. Ang kaning testis is responsible for the production of your sperm and the manufacturing of testosterone, which is an important sex hormone for male bodies. The epididymis, diha mag-rest ang, diha ma-store ang mga mature sperm cells, no? Na nag-create ng inyong testicles. Okay? Also, the epididymis brings the sperm to maturity. So, diha siya mas mahinog. Now, the vas deferens is a long muscular tube that travels from the epididymis into the pelvic cavity. And siya po'y mag-transport ng mature sperm cell para ma-release during, let's say, orgasm or for ejaculation. Na ejaculatory ducts, urethra, agihanan ng ihi, seminal vesicles, the prostate. So kaning prostate and seminal vesicles mag-produce ng fluids, ejaculatory fluid or seminal fluid para masagol sa mature sperm cells para na ay languyan ang sperm cells. Kaya syempre kung cells lang na usapan, cells are just cells, no? So ang mogawas ana sa male body during ejaculation or kanang sa event of ejaculation, medyo naa na siya fluid, and these fluids come from seminal vesicles, prostate. And sa kaso ng bulbourethral glands, sila mag-produce ng gamay na fluid, mag-produce ng gamay na fluid, slippery fluid that cleanses the urethra. Ay lagi, as I mentioned earlier, ang agihanan ng semen and urine sa kaso ng male body is the same lang. Pero na ay Cowper's gland or bulbourethral gland na mag-release siya ng fluid before pa moagi ang semen. So para hinlo na pod ang agihanan ng semen. So dili ka makaingon nga sagol na siya ihi. Okay? So that's it. So I started this lecture video with differences between male bodies and female bodies. Now we have here a basic question. Why do you think male and female bodies differ from each other? I think you would answer, syempre, naamay lain-lain nga sex hormones, naapoy lain-lain nga sex chromosomes. These are our next topics. If you remember, in chapter 1, we defined SOGI or we defined gender in a multifaceted manner. That gender is a combination of several elements, chromosomes, anatomy, internal sex organs and external genitalia, hormones, testosterone and estrogen mainly, psychology, and culture. So dire, I am highlighting chromosomes, anatomy, and hormones because these are the parts of gender or the parts of SOGI that we will cover in this lecture video. Okay, let's start with sex chromosomes. Kung sa maning sex chromosomes, I think from your psychology, you could remember we have a total of 46 chromosomes and these are organized in pairs. That's why naapod tayo mabasa nga 23 pairs of chromosomes, totaling to 46. Kadtong 22 pairs, those are called the autosomal chromosomes. Chromosome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 22. But katong 23rd pair chromosome, these are called sex chromosomes and naa sila name, either XX or XY. Now, these two chromosomes are the chromosomes responsible for distinguishing or for the differences between male and female bodies at the level of chromosomes. So, syempre, that's the case. So in case you don't know, just a visualization for you, asa man ni makita ning chromosomes, makita ni naa sa nucleus in every cell that we have, and a chromosome na nag-contain diha ng DNA structure or information for, you know, information for physical development. Okay. Now, this is the usual knowledge, the most common knowledge that the sperm, if the sperm cell na maka-fertilize sa egg cell nag-carry ng X chromosome. Okay? If the sperm cell carrying X chromosome gets to fertilize an egg cell that always carries X chromosome, the resulting baby would be female. If the sperm cell carries Y chromosome and gets to fertilize an always carrying X chromosome egg cell, the resulting baby would be male. Okay? So sex chromosomes are responsible for sex determination, but take note, the process of sex differentiation is complex. Now, in case you don't know, ang human embryos begin, kita tanan actually, we all begin with an indifferent stage. Kanang stage na dili pa klaro nga male or dili pa klaro nga female. So we call that bipotential gonads or gonads with two potentials. Mahimong male, mahimong female. And that is so until approximately 6 to 9 weeks after conception. So which means na magsugod pag-act ang kadtong mga sex hormones, particularly testosterone, anti-Mullerian hormone, at around 6 to 9 weeks after conception. So here's the idea. Ang presence ng Y chromosomes can result to some initial development of cells that would be part of testes. And kana na mga cells mag-produce ng various chemicals called androgens or sex hormones na mudaghan sa male body. These hormones are testosterone, anti-Mullerian hormone, and insulin-like peptide 3. Okay? And then, kanang testosterone could be could be converted to dihydrotestosterone and mauto ilang mga effects you can read here in the presentation. Male external genitalia, and so on and so forth. Now, kung absent ang Y chromosome, so in the case of X and X, so ang sperm cell nag-carry ng X, ang egg cell always nag-carry ng X. So in that event, walay Y chromosome. In that case, if the Y chromosome is absent, kadtong certain cells in the bipotential gonads that would be part of ovary mag syempre walay ma-produce na testosterone. Okay? Wala say ma-produce na anti-Mullerian hormone. Now, because of the absence of those things, no? Absence ng Y chromosome or absence ng testosterone, diha mo grow ang female genitalia. Okay? So what is the logic here? Ang logic dire is ang ang female genitalia mo develop siya because absent ang Y chromosome. Okay? And mo develop ang isa ka embryo into a male baby tungod sa presence ng Y chromosome. Okay? So here are more illustrations or visualizations for you. The bipotential gonads look like this one. So the ay tagtawag na Wolffian ducts and the Mullerian duct. Tungod kay na ay male hormones such as the anti-Mullerian hormone and testosterone, mo respond ang kaning body para mahimo siyang male gonads. Epididymis, testis, seminal vesicle, and vas deferens. Karon, kung walay presence of any male hormones such as testosterone and the anti-Mullerian hormone, ang kaning bipotential gonads moadto siya sa iyang default, which is the female gonads, ovaries, oviduct, uterus, cervix, and vagina. In short, again, take note, Murag gitawag siyang bipotential gonads but it will grow into female gonads kung walay male hormone. So we can think of every individual as default nga females. Okay? So ma-remove lang ang kanang pagka-default niya nga female kung present ang kaning anti-Mullerian hormone and testosterone, that is kung present ang Y chromosome. Now another visualization, so mao ni inyong makita. So sa bipotential gonads or na stage na atay urethral folds, genital tubercle, urogenital slit, anal pit, labioscrotal swelling. Kung mahimong male, so mao na ang mahimong itsura. Kung mahimong female, mao nang mahimong itsura. So you can see the anus, there is a bottom, and you have there the glans penis na more di man siya more resemble but murag didto pod ang equivalent niya sa clitoris. Okay? So mauna siya. Now, the Y chromosome has a sex determining gene, and this is something that you have to remember. Ang SRY gene is contained in the Y chromosome, and kaning SRY gene is responsible for the production of testosterone and the anti-Mullerian hormone, leading for the two ducts to develop into the typical male sex reproductive organs. More specifically, there should be an enzyme in male embryos that converts testosterone into the potent DHT or dihydrotestosterone. And kaning DHT si gyud ang magpa-develop ng penis. Kung absent ang DHT, the tubercle becomes clitoris. Okay? So again, atong language earlier, ang akong terms na gamit earlier, kung na ay Y chromosome, ma-develop into male ang kaning growing embryo. But now we have identified a particular gene, and that gene is the SRY gene. Now here's the thing. Some Y chromosomes absent in tawon ang SRY gene or broken or naay issue sa gene. While some other embryos do not react to testosterone or anti-Mullerian hormone. So, because of that, mauni ang mga instances nga mag-result to differences in sex development or DSD. And that is also the case na mahimong intersex ang isa ka individual. Take note, ang atong gamit sa chapter 1 and ato siyang ipadayon paggamit is kaning intersex, no? Pero medical term niya is DSD, differences or disorders in sex development. That's our next topic. Differences, disorders of sex development. And these are the conditions, the various conditions. Pero we'll just cover two. Kaning number one, females with congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and kaning ikaduha, males with complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. So sa inyong makita na i-code diha, let's say sa number one, females with CAH. 46 stands for the number of chromosomes, and the XX mauna ang iyang sex chromosome pairs. So buti pasabot, kaning females, normal gyud ni siya, no, in a sense or technically speaking, kay naa siya normal in terms of the count of chromosomes. Kompleto, 46. And then female siya chromosomally speaking. Okay? So I say that chromosomally speaking tungod kay XX man ang iyang 23rd pair ng chromosome. Kaning number 2, also kompleto ang bilang ng chromosomes, 46, pero XY. So biologically speaking, kuan siya, male siya. Now, there are other abnormalities or disorders that can occur in, some individuals, though these are rare cases, I believe. Kaning Klinefelter syndrome, sobra, 47 chromosomes. sobra siya kay ang iyang 23rd pair dili pair but a triad na ay X, X, and Y. Naapoy Turner syndrome, kulang isa, 45. So wala ang Y. So and then naapay other cases, sex chromosomes mosaicism and variants 45X and 46XY and chimerism 46XX and 46XY. Now, if you are curious of these conditions, I challenge you to just search them, but I will only cover kaning duha. Females with CAH and males with CAIH. Now, let's begin with congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Kaning nga case refers to a group of genetic disorders affecting adrenal glands. Now, in case you don't know unsa ning adrenal glands, kaning adrenal glands are structures that sit on top of your kidneys. So, idyo makita na aday image, nagtungtong sa imabaw sa imong kidneys. Now, kana na mga glands, they produce very important chemical substances for the regulation of a number of body functions. These chemicals include cortisols, mineralocorticoids, and androgens or testosterone. Sa kaso ng females, okay, sa kaso ng females, tungod kay wala sila testis or wala sila testicles, ang ilang source of testosterone is ang adrenal glands. Okay? Now, individuals with congenital adrenal hyperplasia have imbalances in these hormones, particularly androgens. It's either they have too little or too much of androgens from adrenal glands. Diri na mahimo ang medyo na ay irregularity when this occurs among female infants. Sa kaso ng female infants with congenital adrenal hyperplasia, naa sila'y atypical genitalia. Okay? They have enlarged clitoris that may resemble a penis, partially closed labia resembling a scrotum. The uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries just develop typically kanang the usual nga development. Okay? So balik kita didto kadali no, just recall unsa tong process ng pagdevelop ng male genitalia. Mo develop siya tungod kay naay SRY gene from the Y chromosome responsible for the production of testosterone and anti-Mullerian hormone. And because these chemicals are present, kaning testosterone mainly or dihydrotestosterone, mauto na motobo ang bipotential gonads na mahimong penis, testicles, and so on. Karon, here comes a case nga female siya, walay problema supposedly. 46 chromosomes, XX ang iyang chromosomes, but for some reasons, naamay other source of testosterone ang body. So sa kaso ng females, kung naa siya'y daghan kaayo na androgens, no? Tungod sa irregularity in the adrenal glands. So mauni motubo mo enlarge ang clitoris na murag penis lang tawon and partially closed labia resembling a scrotum. So murag mao na ang cases na case of undescended testicles. Ang testicles na ara nagpikit instead na kanang nagbitay. Okay? So here is an image I got online. So idyo makita kung sa very extreme na case, for example, stage 5. So ang clitoris, take note, female ini ha. So mao ni ang mahimong itsura niya. Ang female, medyo mag-protrude gajud. Murag mag-una ang iyang clitoris. So mao ni ang mahitabo nga kaso na kasagaran, ang doctors, or let's just say na dili careful ang doctor no kanang sa mga kilid-kilid na tingali ng mga doctor, paglantaw sa baby, oy naamay naglawit or even sa ultrasound. So kung naamay naglawit, so moingon nga the baby is male. So labelan gid siya sa birth certificate na male, padak-on siya nga male. Pero remember, kaning kaso because ang iyang chromosomes normal raman 46 chromosomes and so on naalang siya tag-as kaayo na levels of androgens ang iyang uterus, ang iyang fallopian tube present, okay? Ovaries present. Naaray lamang mo protrude sa iyang clitoris or ang clitoris niya mismo nag-protrude. So biologically female siya pero na ay mga cases na mapadako gajud siya as male. So naghanap kog case report. So I found a case report online. This was published in 2018. Case report of an adult female with neglected congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Kung sa nahitabo ani, this was reported in Malaysia. Ang person at the chromosomal level, female siya, XX, but ang gender identity na na-form sa iya is he or him. In short, murag ang iyang belief na sa iyang self is layaki siya because pagkatao niya, layaki man ang girecord, male man ang girecord. Tapos gipadako pud siya ang mga expectations nga gihatag sa iya, mga layaki man pod na mga roles and behaviors. Now, the report did mentions that chromosomes did not have a role in gender identity nor gender expression. So this is an important takeaway here. Okay? So if you remember in chapter 1, I told you na ang SOGI elements, katong upat, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, they may not coincide with one another. So this is a perfect example. So ang iyang gender identity, man, okay? Pero very disconnected sa iyang chromosomal na element or na aspect. So, ini words ini mismo ng author na ang chromosomes walay function sa gender identity ng kaninga person. Okay? Kaya nagpabilin ang gender identity niya nga layaki siya. Pero biologically, um, female siya. Or chromosomally female siya. Now, another condition of DSD, the complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. Kaning complete androgen insensitivity occurs when the body cannot or do not react to androgens at all. People with this condition are genetically male with one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, as I mentioned earlier, 46, XY. Affected individuals have the characteristics of female genitalia, therefore, they are practically raised as females and have a woman gender identity. However, they have male internal genitalia that are undescended but do not have a uterus and therefore do not menstruate and are unable to conceive a child. So di ay diri ang undescended testicles na case diri sa kaso ng complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. So here's a case report also I found online. This was published in 2021. This person, oh, title says complete androgen insensitivity syndrome in a 13-year-old Lebanese child reared as female with bilateral inguinal hernia, a case report. So basically, dili ko naman ka mo ana pabasahon. When I read the report, mauni akong mga nakita na important or noteworthy. The person is at the chromosomal level, male gyud siya, XY, but she is reared as female, has developed breasts, normal appearing vagina, but na ay testes. Okay? So, mauna siya. Kay male man siya, naadyo siya testes. Pero, tungod kay unresponsive man siya sa testosterone, no? So, naa siya mas mo domina, mas mo react kibali ang iyang body sa default, which was katong mga, katong vagina, no? And kaning pag-develop po ng breast na naay mga female sex hormones. But here's the thing. Siya daw, kaninga bata, is an achiever in school and a professional dancer. So unsa may point ani? So mauni ang point where yes, some people can have these DSDs pero they are able to live normal lives. Okay? I think ini na kaso na asya'y kaso ng undescended testicles gioperahan siya kay para maoto na dito na discover na hala na ada ay siya'y testis all this time. Ya man nagbitay, no? Undescended man kibali ang case. So dito nakita na biologically male di ay siya. Pero again, sa surface imo lang tawo na ay normal appearing vagina and breasts. Okay. Now, further, these are the two implications that we can derive from DSD cases. That first, there are people who will never fit neatly into the male-female dichotomy. So, mauna ang females with females with CAH, no? Gender identity and gender expression can be independent from sex assigned at birth. So, maupod na ang sa kaso ng males with CAIH. Nagkabali-bali naman eh. CA, males with CAS. Okay? Anyway, so that's the idea na ang atong biological dimensions of our gender cannot always be directly connected to our gender identity or gender expressions, which are behavioral or psychological aspects of our gender. Okay? Now, let's go to hormones. And I think also these are not new to you. You've heard of testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, but this time we're adding oxytocin. Sex hormones are chemical substances that regulate many sex-related characteristics and behaviors. Nato. Okay? Primarily, they are responsible for sex differentiation and reproduction, but take note, they have more roles. They have functions in bone health, some brain functions, and immune system. The gonads, or kadtong ovaries and testes, produce sex hormones alongside the adrenal glands. Alternatively, sex hormones are produced due to biochemical conversion. For example, we have aromatase. Aromatase converts testosterone to estrogen. Okay? That is sa kaso ng males. Because ang males, wala mampoy ovaries na mag-produce ng daghan nga testosterone na ay enzyme na readily ma-convert ang testosterone into estrogen. Now, the amount of these hormones can vary throughout our life and makaapekto ang edad, menstruation, menopause, stress, medication, and recreational use. Now, let's start with testosterone. Ang testosterone is produced in the testes. I-produce po siya in smaller amounts ng ovaries and as I mentioned earlier, i-produce siya ng adrenal glands. Now, this hormone is predominant in males, but ipasabot, mas numerous, mas daghan, larger ang amounts ng ini na chemical sa male bodies. And this is responsible for maintaining muscle mass, stamina, strength, libido or sexual urge, energy levels, memory, and overall well-being. And it contributes to males having deep voices, penis size, facial hair, and broader shoulders. Now, too much testosterone can cause aggression, depression, impotence, and excessive libido. Testosterone deficiency or too low testosterone can cause fatigue, mood swings, low libido, and irritability. So in short, it's important to have just the usual na amount, the normal amount of testosterone in our body. Kaya syempre, pag daghan, pag kuyang, diha jud ang naay issues. So, kana pod sa kaso ng female bodies, testosterone is important for balance of function, balance in several functions. Kay kung kulang na pod na, it can lead to low energy, decreased libido, and a drop in overall well-being. Now, sa case ng estrogen, we know that estrogen is the chemical substance that is predominant in females. Okay? Pero as I said, it can be present in males via kadtong conversion of testosterone. It's produced mostly in the ovaries and adrenal glands, stimulates fat cells to grow and is a key hormone in production, has roles in promoting strong bones and reducing bad cholesterol in the body. So naapod siya yung mga consequences kung kuyang and sobra. The same sa testosterone. Now in males, kinahanglan pod ng mga male bodies ang estrogen. Low estrogen, however, results in actual increase in body fat. Now, ang progesterone, what does it do? Progesterone is naturally produced in the ovaries and has duties in the reproduction cycle, particularly in the monthly menstrual cycle. Okay? Once conception is achieved, for example, mabuntis ang isa ka babae, the regular concentrated levels of progesterone is what suppresses ovulation. So, walay magmature na egg cell kung buntis na ang bae because masuppress naman. I mean, ma-stop naman siya because of kaning progesterone. High levels of progesterone can cause mood swings, bloating, and breast tenderness. Low progesterone levels can cause migraines, depression, anxiety, lowered libido, and so on. So the idea here is na ay mga cases na magsobra magkuyang and these have consequences in our behavior, consequences in our emotions, no, in our affects. So dili siya mahimo siyang simplistic kung maingon ta these are sex hormones kay murag hormones responsible for sexual development or sexual functions when in fact they have other functions outside sexuality. Okay? Now, oxytocin. Ang oxytocin is produced in the hypothalamus. It's found in the brain. This chemical substance facilitates social cognition and behaviors, facilitates parental behavior and sexual activity, and inhibits feeding and pain perception. Among males, it's responsible in penis erection, experience of pleasure during sex, and orgasm and ejaculation. Pero mas daghay function ang oxytocin sa females. Sa menstruation, it facilitates ovulation. During pregnancy, it promotes maternal behavior and lactation. Kanang mugawas ang gatas gikan sa breast ng mother. That's because of oxytocin to the point na kung low level ang oxytocin, murag maglisod jud pagawas ang gatas from the mother's breast. In parturition, oxytocin accelerates the expelling of fetus and reduce postpartum hemorrhage. During lactation, naapod siya role, deficiency accounts for maternal depression and hypogalactia, and in menopause, less oxytocin accounts for many menopausal symptoms and diseases. You can also read online that oxytocin is considered as a love hormone because it produces development of intimacy among individuals. When you hug with your partner, kung naamoy uyab, and kanang hugging na behavior that stimulates production of oxytocin, which makes you feel in love or makes you develop attachment with the person you are hugging. Again, that's because of oxytocin or the love hormone. Now, back to this question, which is the main thesis of this presentation. Why do male and female bodies differ? We have answered because we have different sex chromosomes and sex hormones. But remember, these biological factors are influenced by environmental factors. Therefore, it is not simplistic. It is not kanang very direct to the point na istorya na we become males, we become females, we develop these sex organs, we develop these genitalia, we have these sex hormones in our bodies just because of these chromosomes. No, there are a lot of factors that come to play, and these are environmental factors na pwede pod appeal ang psychological internal factors. Now, if you have heard of epigenesis happens when some genes in chromosomes are activated and some other genes are repressed without altering the DNA by various environmental factors such as diet, lifestyle, physical activity, and so on. So buti pasabot, we may have, let's say, the same chromosome or the same levels of hormones. Let's say We both have testosterones, no? Pareho kadaghanon. But we can differ in our, let's say, for example, gender expression, the way you manifest or the way I manifest masculinity, the way you manifest masculinity because of certain environmental factors na pwede siya ma-repress, pwede ma-activate. Okay? Take note, epigenesis is more on the genetic level na some genes are activated, some genes are repressed. So here is the diagram I got from Real in 2021. And I think a perfect illustration of the point that I'm trying to drive out. So, kaning green na box, you can read here, these are the sexual or the biological aspects of our gender. Sex chromosomes, sex hormones, and again, they have influence of they have influence on um excuse me. They affect us or they shape differences between males and females or among individuals in terms of drug metabolism, brain, patterns of illness, life expectancies, patterns, yeah, and so on, use of healthcare. But how these chromosomes and hormones affect us can be interfered by psychological, cultural, and social factors. Lifestyle, physical activity, ang cultural stimuli, institutional context, diet, and self-actualization or ang gender. Okay? So, mauna siya, no? Now, you might wonder, sir, kaning blue na box ba? Gender man iyang term. So, appeal di ay ning gender sa kaning lifestyle. Gender di ay ni. Physical activity, gender di ay ni. The answer is still yes. If you remember, ang gender, dili lang siya internal. From chapter 1, ang gender, appeal ang social dimensions of gender. Pero ang ato term for them is ang ato term is gender roles, gender relations, or gender institutionalized. So diha mo suyod ang cultural aspect of gender, social aspects of gender, mga expectations, mga traditions which are imposed on woman behavior or man behavior. Okay? So because of this, kaning epigenesis, complex interplay of biological and environmental factors shaping behavior, diri nato makita ang sex differences in brain and cognition, sex differences in health and aging. So this is the last topics na atong i-cover, sex differences in brain and cognition. Let's start with sex differences in brain structures, how our brain looks like. I found a research published in 2019, kaning research brain differences, examine brain differences between men and women via deep learning. And ang findings nila ni Shin and friends, ilang ingon, there might be na ay mga sex differences in brain images. Okay, and these differences might be related to gender differences in cognition, emotional control, as well as neurological disorders. So in short, dili necessarily duplicating or similar or equivalent ang male and female brains taglain. Here's another research I found published in 2011 by Joel Daphna Joel. Unsa may iyang finding? Walay male brain, walay female brain. Instead, ang human brains are multimorphic. But ipasabot, you can never tell kung male na brain siya or male na brain siya. I mean, kung male na brain or female brain. Okay? So, iyang gigamit ang idea of intersex na ang brain is intersex. Okay? There is no way for us to tell kung male ba ang brain or female ang brain. Now, on average, male's brain is about 11% larger than female's brain. But this is mainly because males are taller than females. So, syempre, directly proportionate man ang brain size sa atong, height. Nevertheless, many studies reported that in both males and females, most brain regions are similar in size and that differences, if any, are small. Mao to ang ingon po ni Joel. Still, the same researcher pero different paper, 2015. Ingon siya, brains are not simply male brains or female brains. Magdepende, ingon ni Hines in 2020, magdepende now siya how the brain performs or how the brain reacts or functions. Okay. Now let's go to sex differences in temperament and cognition. Many of the cognitive and behavioral differences between males and females appear early in life and they are biologically determined rather than learned. Okay? So buti pasabot, mauni ang mga kung naay mga behavior na mo appear early in life, medyo wala pa'y chance ang socialization, wala pa'y chance ang parents or other social agents to affect us. So kung mo-appear siya early in life, it's because of biology. It's because of genes. It's because of katong chromosomes and so on. Now, prenatal and neonatal testosterone exposures, together with genetic factors affecting androgen signaling, are some of the biological factors to the sex differences. The most common example is kaning empathy. So, naatay kaninga case, females more empathic, males less empathic. Is this a stereotype or there is a biological aspect to it? Now, you'll be surprised. I found a research. This was published in 2014. And ingon siya, ang kaning empathy, kaning mo mo feel kita for others na related sa ini sa pro-social behavior, kaning empathy is actually a biological phenomenon because present siya kanang after birth. Okay? And it was found that kaning female human infants exhibit higher rates than males in various rudimentary forms of empathy such as contagious crying, neonatal imitation, social referencing, and general social interest and sensitivity. Therefore, kung sa ijang buti pasabot, ang female infants are more predisposed to display empathy compared to male infants. Okay? So, kinsa may imong basulon ana? Biology. So, pag dako, pag sulig, syempre, again, posible nga mas empathic pa pod ang babae kaysa sa layaki. But remember of epigenesis, some of these factors may be suppressed, some of these behaviors may not activate at all. Here's another research I found. This was published in 2018. In this research, I learned that males daw were better at planning tasks or executive function na mga tasks, no? While females better at emotion recognition tasks, spatial working memory tasks. This indicates that higher emotionality in females may lead to attentional biases toward at emotional stimuli. Pero I have here a warning. You don't take this immediately as factual or generalizable to everybody. Tungod kay kaning research I learned the participants are from London and participants from Western countries are considered as weird people. In case you don't know kaning weird people, these are people who are white, people who are educated, people who come from industrialized countries, people who come from rich families, and people who are from democratic countries. So, buti pa sabot, lahi sila ng mga social experiences. So, pwede lahi jud ang experience ng poor na mga people, 'di ba, kaysa sa rich. Kay mas better man ilang nutrition. So, you really expect them, excuse me, you really expect them to to have mastery of these functions. Excuse me for a while. Okay. So again, the important lesson here is ang human behavior, appeal ang gender expression, ang pagka-masculine, ang pagka-feminine ng isa katao is really complex. Dili na siya directly proportional or directly influenced by sex, chromosomes, and hormones. Okay? So you really cannot expect a person to be a man, or you really cannot expect a person to be very masculine tungod lang kay naa siya'y penis because of certain epigenetic influences and because of direct influences of environmental factors on behavior. Kay again, daghay pathway. Okay? Daghay pathway. Ang pagka-feminine, dili na nimo automatically ma-expect 100% tungod lang kay naa siya'y vagina. Okay? Because again, that is just one of the pathway. There are other pathways. And that pathway can be complicated by epigenetic influences. Okay? Cultural, social, and psychological factors affect gene expression, which altogether shape the various complex differences between males, females, and intersex. Now, here's a critique, a personal critique. If you noticed, ako when I search for studies na akong i-appeal sa kaning lecture videos, most studies that you can find online at the moment are studies about being males and females. So, buti pa sabot, katong mga studies na nag-cover about brain differences, differences in temperament and cognition, ang focus lang yun niya i-compare ang males and females. And really, the published literature at the moment is dominated by publications about gender differences daw. Pero kung imo basahon, male and female ang iyang pasabot. So in short, just being binary. So what's the point here? Ang kaning pagka-intersex, pagka-transgender, pagka-homosexual, other aspects of gender, the other aspects of SOGI, wala pud siya ma-studyhan pa kaayo. Okay? So, we need more studies pag yun, to be honest. Pero, I was able to learn na actually na ay mga uban, na ay ubay-ubay na mga studies. So, particularly kaning si Dick Swaab, he's known for post-mortem studies. Nag-study siya ng mga brain ng mga dead na mga transgenders. Ang iyang findings, ang transgender women and men, ang iyang brain structures more similar daw sa brains ng cisgender individuals of the same gender identity. Okay? So mas mo resemble sa gender na asa sila nag-identify. Pero syempre, kana nga research gi-criticize ng daghay tao, no? Gi-criticize ng many people tungod kay syempre post-mortem studies naman. So unsa may buti pasabot di ay kung post-mortem, patay naman ang brain na ijang giistudihan and posible pod um tapos na nag-hormonal therapy na ang transgender. So therefore, posible na ay mga effects pod ang kadtong mga hormones sa brain structure. So maupod na medyo dili klaro kung sa bagyod, kung same bagyod ang brain ng transgender dito sa iyang gina-identify. On the other hand, there were other studies, functional MRI studies showing that both cisgender boys and transgender boys assigned female at birth had similar activation patterns during a spatial reasoning task compared to cisgender girls. So, sa may buti pasabot, ang kaning transgender boys, maskin female sila at birth, mas pareho ang brain activation sa cisgender boys instead of, I mean, compared to cisgender girls. Here's a study I found online. When was this published? This was published in 2022. Nag-study siya ng 24 transgender brains before pa ng hormonal therapy And the researchers found that those brains were different from those of cisgender men's brains and cisgender women's brains, but more similar to cisgender men's brain. So lahi gyud daw ang brain structures ng transgenders. Pero ang transgender women na mga brain mas closely mo resemble sa cisgender men's brains. Okay? So in short, ang ilang pagka-transgender, ang conclusion niya, kung basahon niyo ang conclusion, if you are so interested, feel free to search this research report. Kung imo mabasa ang conclusion iyang ingon, being transgender is not a brain thing. Dili siya mahanap sa brain structure. Instead, it's more of personal identification, meaning how the person believes kung unsa siya, man, woman, or something else. Okay? That's why if you remember in our chapter 1, I would repeatedly say that gender identity is subjective, it's private. How the person believes, how the person thinks of him, her, or themselves as gendered individuals. Okay? So, I think this one is my most favorite kay moingon siya nga wala siya sa brain structure. Okay, dili na makita nimo through brain scanning, but naa siya sa psychological level, the personal identification. Now, take note that there are many people, some people who criticize the conduct of biological or brain research on gender diverse individuals appeal ang transgenders because again, kung maghanap daw ta og biological or brain differences ng transgender sa ubang, let's say sa males or cisgender males or cisgender females, they all invalidate the truth and authenticity of assertions of gender identity. According to Florence, a trans feminine jurist and bioethicist, wrote in Clinical Child Psychology and Psychiatry that gender is not something given that we need to unearth, but something that remakes itself, the same or anew, over and over again as we gather new experiences of the world. Okay, so therefore, again, the bottom line is gender is not something that you can find in the brain structures, but it is being remade over and anew as we gather experiences. You don't know, later you will learn to be culturally feminine or masculine, whichever is true to your case, no? Or mag-change jud ang atong mga appreciations anang gender. Especially if we become gender forward, if we become liberate in terms of our understanding of gender, no? Na dili lang mahimong very boxed or very binary. So that's it for our presentation today. So far, we have covered these topics, just a brief sexuality education on male and female anatomy and physiology, sex chromosomes, DSDs, sex hormones, brains of males and females, sex differences in temperament and cognitions, and some critiques and thoughts moving forward. And here is my take home lesson. Biological factors constitute only one side of a coin. They don't tell the complete story of us gendered people. They may solve mysteries surrounding sex development and offer insights about our sex differentiated behaviors, but still, being a gendered human person goes beyond those X and Y and estrogen and testosterone. Now, what is your take home lesson? That is my challenge to you. Thank you for listening. This has been Sir Monch of Surigao del Norte State University, and I leave you these critical thinking questions. Have a good day.